Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Before we get into this very special episode, just want to let you know about our sponsor. It's a movie called Sir John A. and the Curse of the Anti-Quenched. It's about two brothers that have to fight demons while staying drunk. It stars John Dunsworth from Trailer Park Boys, Spenny from Kenny vs. Spenny, and the Diener from Fubar. You can check it out on iTunes, Amazon, or wherever you get your movies.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Welcome to the Raiders of the Lost Commentary podcast.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
The unofficial commentary for your favorite
Get to the chopper!
and not so favorite films.
The famous comedian Arnold Braunschweiger.
Starring your hosts Adam and Matt.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Start your movie in 3, 2, 1.
All right, everybody. Today on the podcast, we have filmmaker Dakota Aesquivel, and we're watching his film Deadly Crush. Dakota, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing? How's Ottawa doing out there?
Ottawa it's all right, you know.
Cold?
Yeah. Actually, today is the first day, well, the eve of the day that pot is legalized countrywide.
Wow.
It's historic.
Wow. Well, the first time I tried pot was like a week ago, where there was this critic who liked my stuff, and he invited me over to some hotel, and he gave me like these pot vape.
Okay. Yeah.
The first time I ever tried, and I didn't do it right because I didn't experience anything. I didn't get
really?
late,
So
nothing.
you crazy? You only got high. That was for the first time.
My mother was a doctor, so I would just hear all these really horrible stories about how someone would try pot and all of a sudden, their gonads exploded.
Oh man.
And I was like, and she would like, that's what happened to Bruce Lee. That's what happened to John Lennon. So then I'm like, well, okay, that's a cautionary tale,
It's a dangerous thing though. They did something similar like that in school. They're like, marijuana is the devil, and then they also were like, but also Coke is bad, and it's the same. And then when you try pot, you're like, oh, but maybe Coke is fun too.
From my life experience, every time I go to a party and I smell pot, I know it's going to be a cool time. Everyone's going to be copacetic. Everyone's going to be chill. Everyone's going to be loving, right? But every time I go to a party and I smell alcohol, I know someone's going to get in a fight.
Right? Yeah.
I know.
So true.
I know. Yeah.
So back onto your film, Deadly Crush. I was wondering if you could just maybe tell me a bit about the inspiration, about writing it, how it all came about, and where you got locations and all that. We'll break it down a bit easier than that, but just talk about the inspiration to write the film, maybe.
All right. So the first film I did is called Janked, and it got into Cannes.
Amazing.
A background on me. I got my bachelor's in creative writing, my master's in screenwriting from UCLA. Out of UCLA, I worked with Stan Lee, the comic book guy, for about 2.5 years.
Oh,
I was director of his development. Oh.
So what'd you do with Stan Lee?
I blew him. I was director of his development for one of his production companies called New Millennium, and that's where I learned, because I'm a big comic book guy.
Nice.
And I
am a medium comic book guy.
You what?
I'm a medium comic book guy.
What does that medium mean?
It means I have a healthy interest of a lot of comics, but I feel like when I talk to some comic book nerds, a couple of my friends, and I'm like, oh, I know nothing.
Are they arrogant? Are they like, Jesus Christ?
No, not arrogant. They're more just like they're very happy to explain stuff and tell me about stuff I don't know about.
That's the Canadian sensibility.
It could be. Here. There's a lot of dicks up here too. We just we don't talk about them as much.
You like ship them off to the States, huh?
Nah, maybe. I don't know. Further up north.
Oh yeah.
We keep all the nice ones near the border for tourism.
For sure. Yeah, the weather, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
So I went to Cannes. It's called Janked, and it was great. It was awesome. I have a bunch of Harvey Weinstein stories.
Oh, really?
All those stories are true, by the way. Yeah, it was freaking nuts.
Really?
Yeah.
All the dirt's coming out on the podcast.
Yeah.
We're taking callers.
After the premiere, he invited me, my wife, my actress, and a couple actors, and he just had this whole hotel floor by himself with us. And he bought us champagne, and he would talk to us about stories about gangs of New York and all this other he had crazy stories. If this guy had a superpower, it would be charisma.
Really, eh?
Yeah, I felt myself, I was drawn to my own knees, just reaching for a handy for this guy. That's how charismatic this guy is.
That's that kind of makes sense. Like, when you hear stuff like that,
it's crazy, and he's just so full of stories. Anyway, that's a different podcast. Trust me, those stories.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to blow all Ottawans' minds about the depravities that this guy is into.
Oh no.
But I went to the film market because there's an international film market over there.
Okay.
And when I was pitching my movie, it was like, yeah, kid, you got no stars. Your movie's about a con artist. Like, who gives a fuck about that? And I just got the sense of like, wait a minute. If I'm to make anything, I have to get through that door.
Yeah.
And it took me a year to figure. I worked through a bunch of scripts, and the thing that I knew would get me through that door is a film that was called Ghost Fucker. Honest to goodness, when we were shooting it, we were calling it Ghost Fucker. When we were in post, we were calling it Ghost Fucker, and right until the credits were like, yeah, I think we should just call it Deadly Crush. I mean, we all have mothers, so let's just call it Deadly Crush. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess there was some pushback against Ghost Fucker, or
no, it was just like, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be Ghost F double asterisk or something like that.
Okay, all right.
Right. All of a sudden, you're already like I mean, it's already not true to whatever the intent was. But that's what got me through the door at AFM. I would knock on the door and they say, "Look, kid, we don't want to talk to you. Hey, I got a trailer. It's called Ghost Fucker. It stars William Sadler from Shawshank Redemption. You got 2 minutes," and everybody let me in.
That's a good idea. Like a good lesson, I guess, too. Just talking about having provocative titles and or having stars attached. Do you want to talk a bit about getting William Sadler attached to the film?
Yeah. So this is not a multi-million-dollar film, and we were in our third day of principal photography. And for people out there, principal photography means that you're actually on location and you're shooting. And it was the third day of our shoot that we were able to lock in William Sadler.
That's insane. Were you actively going after him, or were you going after other people similar to him? Or
the script was out to other people, and it was basically to get the cheapest price. The pitch basically for the stars. The pitch basically was, what are you doing tomorrow and in the next 5 days? And if you're not doing anything in the next 5 days, why don't you come over to Yosemite, make some money, and drink with the young crew? That was the pitch.
That was the pitch, eh?
That was the pitch.
And
that's
Bill
how we got the
Sadler
crew,
was
by
like,
the way.
I'll head over, or...
Yeah. Well, when he said yes, I mean, I'm a big fan of Shawshank. The guy is actually the president of the United States for all of Marvel movies.
Yeah, I recognize him in that, and what I know him for the most is Die Hard. So.
Die Hard too, yeah. He kind of he doesn't have that same physique.
So
I mean, he was ripped,
I'll backtrack in a second, but I just want to maybe ask you a few directorial questions. So you get Bill Sadler on set, and then you're already neck deep in filming. You're acting in the film as well, right?
Yeah, if you can call it that. I mean, I have a wig and I don't have many lines, but yeah.
Okay, but anyway, still a bit of pressure, on yourself. And then Bill Sadler shows up, and does the tempo or does the mood of the set change a bit? And like, how are you bringing him up to speed and like directing him to, give the performance you want? Because just having him there is one thing, but like, you get a pretty good performance out of him a little later in the film. How do you bring him up to speed and get that?
Well, he's such a pro. Him, Courtney Gains as well. He's from Children of the Corn. Those guys are pros. So once they show up on set, they've already memorized their stuff. They've already had character breakdowns. And, we will meet over a drink and talk about what the character is and what's going on and how they should play him. And William Sadler, I just basically said, look, try and be as charismatic as possible. Just play it as Bill. Sure, you do some fucked up things, but there has to be some gravitas to what you're doing. And he did. And here's the thing about these pros, because I also have a young cast as well. The thing about them is when you say action and they start acting, okay, there you go, and then cut, and then you keep going, whatever, and you don't really notice anything. But it's in post that you actually see these guys do their magic. Everything that they do is consistent. The editing is just so much smoother with them. And there's all these little intricacies and proclivities that they do with, I don't know, hand gestures and eyebrows and all this stuff. It's just butter to edit. That's
awesome to hear. And
yeah, it is a craft, man. It really is.
It's true. And speaking from personal experience, like working with kind of like, smaller time actors and or friends. And then, when you do work with pros, it is that I don't know, that magic, like you say, like it's just like amazing. And you're like, oh, this is awesome.
But I only saw it in post though, like because we had only 17 days to shoot this motherfucker, so it's in post when the editor is just pulling his hair out because there was inconsistencies and we had to do some pickups. To make him relax, he would go back to edit William Sadler's and Courtney Gains scenes.
Oh, that's kind of cool to think about.
Yeah.
So in terms of casting, like the rest of the film, like do you want to talk about how that went about and just like how long of a pre-production process did you have?
So the actress Aria London, she was in another film that I wrote, and she kind of came up to me, and she's kind of cool, and she's like, "Hey, why don't you write a film for me?" And in the course of that year, I wrote 4 scripts.
Really?
And it was cool, but I gave it to her, and she said, "You know what? I really gravitate towards this painter role." I was like, "Look, I mean, I'm shooting straight between the eyes. There's a lot of sex in here, and there's a lot of nudity in here. If we're gonna do this, you're gonna have to be fearless. You're gonna have to. I mean, it's gonna be all you." And she was cool with it. And on set, she was fearless.
That's great. I wonder if you could just talk about how you approach filming these sex scenes and, like trying to keep it safe for the actors and actresses and like how you approach getting a performance you're looking for while at the same time, being respectful in that.
Respectful. Huh.
Is respectful the word I'm looking for? Just making it like an environment that they can work in.
I'm Googling the word right now. I'm from California, so respectful. Oh, okay. I made it really clear to her that the inspiration of this movie was basically in high school when I knew a couple of women who lost their virginity, to their first boyfriend or whatever, and they would just eat a tremendous amount of shit to stay with these boyfriends. And when I tracked it back, to their experiences, losing virginity to these boys, I mean, that was really key for them to go into this possessed relationship. It's basically a possession.
Right.
And in the film, the reason why it's so sexual is that when the first time the ghost goes into her mind, it just so happens at that time she's having a sexual dream.
Right.
If she was dreaming about books or if she was dreaming about cars, that's how the ghost would have related to her throughout the entire film. But because she was having this sexual dream, all of a sudden now this is the only language that the ghost knows.
Oh.
And since ghosts are dead, they have this fugue state, right? They're unable to learn. They're unable to adapt. So they keep repeating this loop over and over again.
Oh,
and I think that's reminiscent of like when I remember my friends who were in these possessed relationships, they were stuck in this loop. And that's kind of like where I would explain to Arya, this is where your character is coming from.
That's an interesting approach to it. I like that. And I'm sure she appreciates that when she goes to do these scenes. I want to back. What's that?
I also had an acting teacher named Eddie Keller, and she actually workshopped the character for 4 weeks with him.
Oh wow, that's. Do you want to talk a bit about that, like, and what somebody like that would do for your film, and like, do you hire them on, or is that something where like, is that a friend? How did that come about?
So it's all in pre-production, especially when it's a character that had the danger of being two-dimensional. Eddie Keller is just a great acting. Well, he's a great actor. He's also a great acting coach. And I just suggested that. Well, it was part of our budget as well, that you work 4 weeks with Eddie Keller, so you know exactly where this character is going. So in regards to the respectful thing, I guess our approach was, here's the craft, here's the story, here's what the theme is, and here's where your character is coming from. And I think once she workshopped it and once she understood where the script was coming from, then as soon as I yelled action, we were just all in synergy.
That's awesome. I just want to point out, like, on screen, this kind of ghost vision that you do. I really liked what you did there, and I especially like it later in the film when the ghost vision kind of turns red, and I like how you creatively worked around maybe not being able to have stuff hover all the time, but still being able to move these objects. Do you want to talk a bit about, like, these are kind of low budget tricks? Do you want to talk a bit about, thinking with that low budget hat on in a way,
Yes. So since we're low budget, but we're also we're not beholden to any anybody else. We just took as many chances as possible. And in regards to the sex, we were like, okay, so how do we make this so it's not like, I don't know, Debbie Does Dallas 4 or something like that, right? Where she has to wear a cowboy hat and the whole USC rugby team or something like that. Right. So we really mapped out, how do we do this in an inventive way? And there's some flashbacks as well where she's going through what she was told and trying to weigh out what's true, what's not true. A lot of this stuff, to be frank, when we were doing it, the crew was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Really?
This makes because the hovering thing, if you tell anybody who's holding a camera, okay, I'm in a ghostly ether, I want you to move this camera like you're in a ghostly ether, they'll look at you like you're fucking nuts.
You should have said ghost surveillance. It was,
That's what. Why aren't you? Where were you 3 years ago?
I don't know. It could have been an AD to just, I don't know, put it in crew talk maybe.
Jesus.
But I do like that. I thought it's kind of a creative approach that I'd never seen before. And it's also, it's exposition in a way too. Like, we're learning about how I call it ghost vision. I don't know if that's what you called it. So I'm calling it ghost vision. That could have been another title for the film.
Ghost vision? Yeah.
I also had Ghost Dick. That was another title, I thought.
I think that's a director.
After you said Ghost Fucker, I don't know.
The Ghost Dick?
Yeah.
Ghost Entry?
Yeah. But yeah, I do like how it moves back and forth, and it does kind of gives you some exposition.
Aria painted that, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that, who did the art, because it's kind of neat. And is she a painter, or was it?
I didn't know. It's so when we did that overhead camera with the with the three little three cells and stuff. I didn't know that she was, okay. and then she started painting. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to yell cut, and we just time lapsed it. It was funny in another scene. I was like, okay, you're sketching. You got to sketch. You got to sketch something. So then we did the scene, and then I looked at her sketch, and she was sketching herself.
Oh, that's kind of
so
cool.
God bless actresses, right?
At least, it's good that she actually knew how to paint, and it didn't come out looking like it is abstract, but it looks like a good abstract,
like a real,
I've been to a few galleries, and sometimes you go into that contemporary section, and you're like, yeah, this is on the walls,
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm a big fan of Rothko. I don't know if you dig his stuff.
Who, sorry?
Rothko, Philip Rothko.
I might know it. I'm bad with the names.
He's just one of those guys who committed suicide. It's one of those blocks of color kind of stuff. But but modern art, I'm more of a classical guy. I love Greek and Roman stuff.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Oh, and Jimmy, the guy here, he's the only male model in The Price is Right. I don't know if you have that in Canada.
We do, yes. The Price is Right is very very popular among the elderly.
Oh, it is. Okay, all right.
The Price is Right. It's like a kind of watching the past. It's like a time warp in a way. Like I don't think you can tell what year it is when it comes on. Like you're like, okay, it's at least the 2000 somethings if Drew Carey's hosting.
Yeah, it's like those Mentos. I don't know if you remember those Mentos commercials where you're like, what the fuck? What is that, German? Like, you don't know what's going on. Like, it's just a head scratcher.
We sometimes don't get a lot of the same commercials here.
Oh, you don't have Mentos there.
We have Mentos, but the commercials are different. Like when we watch the Super Bowl, like the amazing Super Bowl commercials that you get in the States,
right.
As soon as that clips on, there's like maybe 1 second you see of like that amazing, new trailer, and then they blip in, and then it's going to be a Canadian sort of commercial.
Like car sales?
Yeah, it's like, hey, come on down to Doug Ford's. We're having a Super Bowl sale and chili cook-off.
I love Canada, actually.
It's fun. It's strange. It is like by law that they have to show Canadian commercials, but yeah, I don't know. That's a whole other topic of conversation. Do you want to talk a bit about your horror influences, or influences in general for horror? Or
oh gosh, I mean, like all my influence come from different sources. Like for me, like I thought True Romance was one of my most, that's one of my most influential films I've ever seen. You ever see Run Lola Run?
Don't think I've seen Run Lola Run, but I have seen True Romance. What about True Romance was it that was so inspiring?
I loved how if you read the original script, it wasn't linear. So like in the first 20 pages, it's these 4 different stories, and you don't know who the main character is. And the reason why I loved it is that you concentrated on the characters. They're the ones who make the story move.
It's true.
But
that is something, yeah. And that's something like about Tarantino too, right? His films are more character driven than plot driven a lot of times.
For sure. Where I think Deadly Question is just completely just plot driven. We only had like 75 or 80 minutes or whatever. We're like, okay, we're gonna have to throw as much plot and sex scenes as possible.
If you don't feel comfortable answering this, you don't have to. But if you want to talk about budget a bit, we can say sub or above or.
It's $125K.
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 And
50K for principal, and the rest. Well, I guess no, it's $115K actually. 50K for principal shooting, and the rest is post. We had about 275 special effects shots.
Right, and I noticed, like again, we saw like the red version of the Ghost Vision, but
right. The rape.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to talk a bit about budget, like where money came from, how money works in the film business, and how you piece together getting something like that, or did you have a pre-sale? Or
No, I did jank my first film, and even though it didn't get distribution, I actually actively sought investors, bankers, relatives, everybody that I could. I started out with 50K, and I just added on to that.
Really? So it was all kind of self-funded yourself, like you?
Absolutely.
That's amazing, man! Congratulations.
Absolutely. That's yeah. Thank you. Well, I mean, it really is just all the pitch. The pitch is basically what we call the log line. It has to be a line that pitches itself. Meaning that I'm not in the room with all the exuberance and all the, used car salesmanship. It's just, it has to pitch itself.
Right.
And if the film is Ghost Fucker, about a woman who goes to the woods, is seduced by a ghost, and it's consensual sex, people instantly, or at least in California, they think, oh, well, I mean, that's exactly what a 13 to 30-year-old, male is going to click on in their pay-per-views.
And the actual like pitch itself, did you tailor it to who you were pitching to? Or
for sure,
yeah. Eh? Did you want to talk a bit about that, like strategy in trying to approach certain people? Or I am genuinely curious, like as a filmmaker myself, and looking for money for stuff, and there's a lot of grants in Canada, and like so you're tailoring each grant proposal. Like, yes, this has X amount of Canadian content, and this is la la la. Or you're like, yes, this for sure does this X, Y, and Z,
So again, I don't know why I'm pitching my first film, but my first film is about con artists. So I would learn how con artists sort of, do their tricks of the trade. And there's a thing called a cold read. And basically, it's the same thing that psychics, quote psychics, do, is that when someone walks into the room, you only have a few seconds to cold read what they're wearing, how they carry themselves, how they talk, what are they holding, what kind of, clothes, they're wearing, that kind of stuff. And you make these assumptions. So when I walk into a room and I'm pitching, there's different storylines for every film. This could be about a woman who's trying to find her creativity. This could be about a ghost who's trying to come back from the dead. This could be, about this sheriff who's trying to cover up a crime from his past. It could be about a priest who's, who accidentally killed a person and is now, seeking retribution. When I cold read someone walking into the room, I make an assumption and I go with that kind of storyline.
That's really interesting, and that's also like really great advice too of approaching stuff. And I'm sure you did similar things when you talk to actors, actresses, crew, even. I'm sure, right?
For sure, and but it's also like a lot of the time because I let actors improv as well, and I only yell cut once they're done. So every extra thing that the actor does, it invariably just lands in the cut. Because whatever they come up with is much more organic and genuine than I can ever write.
Yeah, and that's so true. Right? And you want to provide an environment for that to take place, Yeah.
As opposed to me going, no, you need to do it this way. No, you missed the word the or and or that kind of stuff. I just let them do it. The only thing that I can tell them, the only direction really, other than the intention, but the direction is, this is the most important part of your life right now. Action. That's basic, and that's what they.
That's great. I love hearing stuff like that. Real quick, tell me. So you're filming William Sadler, Courtney Gains. Was there?
Yeah.
Did you shoot two cameras just in case, or was there a fear of having the camera on Bill Sadler and then Courtney delivers his best lines of the take? Or
No. I mean, we only had 17 days, so we're looking at 2 to 3, takes per shot. But I never felt as if actors. I mean, once the camera's on them, that's when they shine. So I never felt that there was anything in the editing room that we missed because the camera was on someone else.
that's good to hear. I always scared of that type of stuff, like when you work with somebody maybe you only have a short amount of time with, or it doesn't have to be a famous actor or somebody somebody special, but there are actors that you're like, okay, I know not to put the camera on him right away. He needs 2 or 3 takes to warm up.
Right.
This person usually first take wonder. Did you approach stuff like that, or was that just the AD dealt with all that type of stuff?
No, it was really structured. However, whatever you look, I mean, there's a term called God plans, man laughs, right? Like Judy Tenuta, she's a famous comedian here in the States. She had this great bit with this accordion. Her role isn't supposed to be funny. You're not supposed to play it funny. She's a shyster, but because she decided that this is what her character was going to be, all of a sudden in the editing room it just became into this comedy bit. Then of course we had to make the score into some wacky jazz kind of tune.
Yeah.
But a lot of these, a lot of this stuff, it just happens. I write this blueprint, but it's the actors who really decide, what happens on the screen.
And we work in a collaborative medium, right? And
For sure.
that's what you have to do sometimes. Was there ever?
I would never want to be an auteur. I would never, because I used to do film production as well, and I've done recordings as a solo act. I've done recordings as a band, and as a band, just the collaboration is amazing. There are these hundreds of ideas that you never would have come up with by yourself.
I have a problem maybe with control, so I maybe need to take a page out of your book.
Really? Why? But there are people who just come up with just amazing stuff, right?
That's true. And I usually, if something's better, I'm good at admitting it, but there are some times where I'm like, no, it has to be this way. This is the only way. A few times that I've done that after they've come up to me and they're like, yeah, you're right. I was wrong. But,
oh, yeah?
Yeah. But, I would say I'm usually right 70% of the time, maybe
Sure.
a 68. That's my own ego talking. Probably it's probably more like 10.
Right. But you know, I mean, look, I mean, once you the whole film process, especially in our level, I don't know how much ego can be into this. You are begging every inch of the way. You're begging for, for scraps for these. The reason why we got a crew, to Yosemite is our promise was, for the next 2 weeks, we're going to pay for all the booze that you want. If you don't have a gig, why don't you just do it for us, not for a lot of money, but for all the booze that you want. It's just begging all the way. Can we please have another day? Can we please have another meal? Can I please have another day in editing? I mean, it just turns you into a beggar.
Do you want to chat a bit about like getting a crew? Like I know it's you're based out of Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably a little bit easier to find a crew in Los Angeles, I'm sure, right?
Well, it's easy to find a crew anywhere, but an able crew,
right?
Like people who know what they're doing. Yeah, because my mom can gaff.
Right.
I'll just be yelling at her a lot.
How big of a crew did you guys have?
Oh God, maybe 7 people.
7 people? That's pretty good. Like, is that like director included or? No,
but interestingly enough, our makeup artist, she used to be the wife of Marilyn Manson's guitarist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
She's all rock and roll.
I'm sure they had a lot of interesting stories.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing, and you know this as well. When you do a film, I mean half of it is just coming out with these crazy stories.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, no one can tell a story more than a filmmaker because they just like for example, for this film. So we were shooting 17 days. We only had one day off, and it was a Saturday. And at 7:30, the cast, we excuse them, so they go over to Yosemite to hike. And at 7:45, we're just sitting there, and the power turns off.
Oh no!
And it's just me and the producer, and we're like, "What's going on?" So, lo and behold, we find out that the person who rented the cabin to us didn't pay the electricity bill for 6 months. 6 fucking months. So, and this is a Saturday at 8 a.m. Brutal. I had to find the DWP for Yosemite, which moonlights as an El Pollo Loco, and convince them that can you please turn the power back on just for the next 14 days.
Wow, that's brutal, man. And you obviously didn't have any generators. It was out of the question to go get a generator.
No, not in Yosemite.
Brutal.
Not in Yosemite.
Did you hire like DP or whatever with camera and gear, or did you hire like a guy and then you had another budget for renting gear? Because I do want to kind of give a shout out to whoever shot the film. Like it does look great. Like I love the way it looks, especially like this. You got a lot of nice play in the background off the trees, and going back to that scene with Bill Sadler and Courtney Gains. I just love how you're not afraid to hide in the shadows a bit and let stuff fall into shadows, which I love when people take risks like that and don't just try and light everything because you have these people on set and it's, let it look nice and look natural,
So the kind of, it's a horrible joke, but the running joke is, what, you got a camera? Of course you're a DP. So I've yet to meet a DP that doesn't have their own camera, to be quite frank. I mean, that's their gauntlet, that's their initiation.
Okay.
I mean, like once you have a DP that's like, okay, here's, how much you need to rent this camera, then or at least here, then it's a scam. Then the guy's taking you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a red. He brought a red. It was. Again, like in this, I think it was Seth Rogen who said, like, you want to take as much money as possible for film production, but don't take a cent over if they have any sort of creative control whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's the kind of I don't know if this happens in LA, but at least like up here, there are a lot of like owner operators, but then they come with it, and then they come with their whole like bag of problems and baggage, and they want to kind of take over. So I'm assuming like everything kind of went smoothly. Like the film looks great, and you eventually got what you want. But was there ever any butting heads with crew or?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the producer is the one. I mean, that's what I would suggest as well. If you have a producer who will have your back and defend your vision, that's that's everything. But for sure, I mean, you have these strong personalities for 17 days. I mean, there's always egos involved for sure.
Yeah, it's tough to manage, and you're managing expectations and personalities,
sure. and plus with a special effects film like what we eventually had, they're going completely on faith. They don't know if any of this works. It doesn't make any sense to them, but they're shooting it anyway. That kind of stuff,
It's hard to kind of being like, okay, and here is where the ghost vision's going to take place, and then this thing's going to fly here. I've yet to figure out like concrete ways of getting that trust from people, but every now and then you run into somebody who they're just like, yeah, whatever, you'll figure it out, like it's on you.
Well, that's the thing that kind of helped me when I was in a rock band for like 5 years, because musicians, they're the worst people to deal with.
Yep.
They're
contest, sir.
Yeah, they're irrational. The things that they do make no sense, even upon self-reflection. They're like, yeah, I don't know why I did that,
Yeah.
So you're always, and especially in our field, you're always trying to get the most of somebody who might not know that they have it in them.
So we have similar backgrounds then. You started in music too, right? You played in rock bands. Me too, playing heavy metal bands for years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Big metalhead, big mop of hair on me.
Still?
Yeah, I still got it. It goes up in the bun a little bit more there for work, but
oh man, chicks must dig it though, huh?
Yeah, it does okay.
You little pussy magnet.
Yeah,
I wore a wig for this film, and I forgot how hellacious long hair is.
It gets in the way sometimes, but I'm like, I don't know. Unless I start really going bald, then it's gonna stay for a while,
I had long hair for a long time as well, and I hated it. I mean, the bathroom kept getting clogged. My neck was always sweaty, and I kept it for 2 extra years because my parents hated it.
My parents never really gave a shit. They're just like, all right, I guess you're doing that. So I don't know. They were never like supportive of it, but they were never like against it. They were just kind of like indifferent about it.
I don't think, but but the dirty little secret is that there's no way you can dissuade anybody from doing it. It's almost automatic.
Right? Yeah. It's like the more you tell them, the more they're going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, even if you see like, these rich lawyers or attorneys or doctors and stuff, it's still, you either pick up a guitar and, spend the Fridays and Saturday nights alone, or you don't. And it's just so natural.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss playing like in bands and whatnot, but I don't miss the drama of dealing with bands. Like
the girlfriends, the crazy ass people, the fucking drummers.
The drummer,
yes. Drummers.
Yeah, man. We had a drummer, like amazing drummer, and this is a long time ago. This is 15 years ago maybe now. And he just like, we knew he was in the military and whatnot, but we didn't know how high up he was. But he's just like, yeah, I got to go to Iraq. Bye. What?
That's like every 60s band story, right? We're like we were in Vietnam, but
yeah, it was, oh man, it was strange. It was about 2001. But yeah, we're like, okay.
Did he come back?
Yeah, he came back. He's around still, but
his nerves were shot.
Yeah. I don't think I haven't talked to him in a few, but yeah, I guess he saw some stuff. But I don't know. We tried to send him a bunch of care packages and whatnot, but yeah, we're like, we still have gigs. We have to find a drummer. Like,
but that's the thing. It's just the endless revolving door of like musicians. It's just like God.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like a little later in life, I'll maybe do a cover band or something. Or I always wanted to do like hair metal.
Who would you cover?
Maybe like hair metal, 80s rock, AC/DC. That maybe a bit of 70s to a bit of that era of stuff. I have like a very huge guilty pleasure for that era of rock, heavy metal.
I got a 3-year-old kid who digs that shit. He eats it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shoot the thrill. Shoot the thrill. Shoot the thrill.
That was the first concert I ever saw was AC/DC. Like 12 years old. and my dad brought me, and it was like an explosion of everything, like girls taking off their tops, all this stuff.
Yeah.
As a 12-year-old, I was like,
energy,
whoa.
energy. The energy, though, it's just, you know.
I know, yeah. AC/DC, Angus, he's the man.
Oh God, yeah. Well, like his rhythm guitarist was like doesn't play anymore, right? He's
dead.
I thought he went off the deep. Oh no, he did die, but he went off the deep end. They didn't tour with him in the last tour, right? Because he was.
I think he had dementia or something like that. Yeah, super sad because he was the better guitar player of the two. Just Angus had more kale shakes or something. I don't know.
he was a hell of a songwriter, though.
That's true. Yeah. I saw Guns N' Roses recently too, and they played a few GNR songs, AC/DC songs, and I know Axl is singing for AC/DC now, which I'm like, well, I guess I can go see AC/DC a fourth time. Anyways, back to your film. Do you want to talk about nailing down this location? Because it is an amazing cabin, and I know like you had to figure out a spot that could double for something. I guess for the 70s is when the flashback at the start is supposed to take place. Did you want to talk a bit about that?
Well, I mean, every cabin there is like modeled after the 70s. I mean, once they built it there, it's all the same. There's no change in decor.
That's good then. I mean, finding a location, especially something that will let you shoot in, have people screaming at the top of their lungs. Was there neighbors at all, like poking around the trees, or I don't
well,
really
no,
that
was definitely an advantage for us to go to Yosemite. It was in November. It was at the end of November, so it was cold. So there were no tourists. It was just us. I mean, there was a neighbor. We would always have a crew member park in his driveway, but they weren't used to having film crews show up anyway. So I think we were the curiosities for them.
Okay, well that's not so bad then.
It was interesting. Another story. So like the person who rented us the cabin, he was like, "Hey, so what's the story about?" I'm like, "It's about a ghost." And he's like, "Well, what does a ghost do?" I'm like, "Well, ghosts, they walk through walls, right? There's a lot of walking through walls." And we completely skirted the fucking issue. And he was like, "I want to read the script." And again, we're day 4 shooting, right? I mean, if this guy pulls the plug, we're shit out of luck.
Yeah. So
we Facebook stalked him, and we found out that he was a born again Christian.
Oh no, they're the worst Christians.
Yeah. So my producer was like, "Okay, Dax, you got 2 hours to edit all the sex out of your script." and for people who haven't seen the film,
sex with prey, or you just do find and replace it in the script program, and they prayed. They prayed so hard, and then she prayed all over, and then he prayed all over her,
and that's where they were saved, and that's where they found Jesus. So I had 2 hours. Of course, this was cutting into my sleep time, and I handed him a 10-page script, and he's like, "Yeah, I like it. Cool." So
you think he read it, or you think he just was like?
No, he definitely read it. He was like, "Okay, cool. Yeah, I get it." But it was such a short script, and we were just. That's another thing about low budget films, man. You're like, okay, well, what's the next hustle?
Right.
What's the next scam?
I've entertained making specific drafts of the script to send to people depending on the casting. So if we're going after an actor, I'm like, okay, well, if we change some dialogue and change the scene a bit, maybe they're more likely to say yes if it's more geared towards them. And then multiple drafts of scenes that you send out, just hoping, you peg one of those actors. Did you do that at all with? I guess you didn't do it with Bill Sadler since he showed up.
We definitely played the whole because it's end of November and it's the end of the year, right? And there are a lot of payments due. That we definitely worked that to our advantage, where it was just like, yeah, what are you doing the next 5 days?
Is that a bit of advice, maybe, like of when you want to kind of cast?
If it's an isolated location, for sure.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if it's different in Canada than it is in LA.
Certain things are, certain things aren't. But yeah, like at least with casting, because we'll cast out of the States sometimes too, right? But
Sure.
Depending on if it's union or not union, all these actors SAG or,
Yeah.
and you did like SAG minimums or
Micro budget.
micro budget, eh?
Micro budget. Yeah.
And what is the daily rate on that? Because like I know it changes. So you have micro budget, and then you have what are the tiers of it again?
God, I
producer
all I know
question.
is all I know is micro. I'm gonna be in the micro budget tier for a while.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. It's a little different in like if we do stuff like that.
Ultra low.
Yeah,
Ultra low.
in Canada with ACTRA. I don't think ACTRA has ultra low yet.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Okay.
they have some kind of strange laws. And if you have SAG actors on or non-ACTRA or non-SAG people on set, then you pay penalties every day that they're on set.
Yes. Yeah, that is true.
So they have that with SAG too?
They do. I mean, technically, yeah, they do. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I acted. Look, the only reason why I'm acting in it is because my role, the Native American role, required a lot of stunts.
Okay.
And I can't ask. I can't afford a stunt person, and I can't ask a stunt person to break their neck.
Right.
So it was me. It's me doing all the pratfalls, me doing all the jostling and stuff.
Do you have
That way-
experience with stunts, or do you just have more? Are you just willing to do it?
Yeah, I'm directing a fucking film. Yeah. I mean, I'm a brown belt in Shotokan, so there was a lot of like knowing how to break your fall and stuff.
That's important. It's one thing. It is an art of falling.
For
right?
sure.
Like,
For sure.
Because I've worked with a few people like small like YouTube stuff.
Oh god.
And somebody gets shot and they fall and it's like, no, that's not how you do it.
Yeah, and they can crack their skull.
Yeah, exactly. Or they just don't know how physics work and how you would look like if you got shot. But
actors are fucking nuts when they're in that zone. There was one time I had these two actors and they're sitting at the table, and I revised. I gave the other person a revised script, and the other one I did not. So he's talking, but in the revised script they get in a fight. So they're rehearsing, and one actor jumps the other actor. And then they get in a fight, and I'm like, oh shit, that's my fault. I didn't give you the.
Oh man,
you're supposed to defend yourself.
Oh man.
Yeah. Sorry about that, man.
That's bad for insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
You can always fight another actor.
Yeah, I guess, eh?
No. They're all gems. They're all beautiful people.
Ship this guy out. You didn't make the cut.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the role requires all your teeth. You're going to have to leave.
Spit him out.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought from that.
So this scene, it wasn't supposed to be, it was just like a point of view of the ghost. It's supposed to be all washed out because that's the first time that the ghost is seeing light. And it's the actress who convinced me to shoot her.
As the ghost? Possessed?
No, just well, yeah, but put the camera on her.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, so this is all going to be point of view? And she's like, come on, man. I'm like, I don't know. What are you talking about? And that's when she would start, no, this is what actors want to do. They want to act. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll do one take, I guess.
Did you just have her hold it handheld, or did you do anything special with the rig? Or?
We had a cameraman holding the camera right next to her cheek.
Oh, okay. And then that way you don't have to worry about, actor on set kind of handling $100,000 worth of production.
God. Why have you? I wouldn't trust him driving a car.
Right.
Although we made the same actress drive a car. But oh god.
Yeah. No, I haven't made that mistake, but it's come close a few times. Just like on one of those occasions where like there's nobody around and it's just like, here, I'll hold that, and you have a lens in one hand and you're about to do a swap and it's like, no you won't.
Yeah. I couldn't. Oh god. Oh, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I'm getting shrinkage just thinking about that. Oh god, no. I think we have a mutual friend, Jed Bryan.
Yes.
Shout out to him. I think he had his actors hold the camera, right?
He held the camera a lot of the film. He was telling me.
Right.
So he did most of it, but yeah, I mean, the difference there being found footage film. They had, the cameras cost a couple grand or a couple $100, I think.
That's right.
Stuff to get the look they wanted.
Okay.
Little different when you're dealing with I'm guessing like a Red Epic or something.
Yeah.
Weight difference, cost difference.
Yeah.
And, you can go to like Best Buy and get like a new camera or.
Oh, I mean, I had the actresses, holding a carton of ice cream, and they kept dropping it. There's no way I'm going to trust them with anything more than a carton of ice cream.
Now, did the crew and did the cast and crew all stay in this cabin, or did you guys get multiple cabins in the area?
No, we all stayed in the cabin. They partied till if you see the behind the scenes stuff in this film, it's just them partying and just dancing. It was. We had maybe 8 to 11 hour shoots, and then it's just 14 hours of them partying.
Oh man. Was that?
It's crazy. It was crazy.
Was that stressful for you as a director? You're like, no, don't burn yourself out. We gotta make a movie tomorrow morning.
Well, I mean, it's the crew. The actors, were pretty cool. It's the crew that was hard partiers.
Right.
It's always the crew. So, but no, they were great. But the partying was just the thing. And I don't know if you get this experience as well, because. For 17 days, you were just solving problem after problem after problem. For the month after the after the filming, in America it's very different. After the filming, for 4 weeks, I would wake up in a cold sweat, and I had these like PTSD symptoms. Every dream was about the camera, lost the footage. Where's the actor? I mean, I was knee deep in problems every time I went to sleep.
I can attest to things like that.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's for me. It was like after we did a longer production of a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there for stuff, but it's just like my body got so used to being in like fifth gear. It was hard to like downshift into first gear and actually relax and have like a normal day sometimes.
But when I tell people about the stories that that we went through, they like shake their head and they say, I don't know how you can even want that life. But it really is. It's a drug. If people are hearing this, if people hear this and they go, yes, I want that. I want that. I want to be on the edge the entire time. This is a profession for you.
It's the high you get out of it, like there is the lows of it, but like when you get through it, I'm sure, I don't know, I don't have kids, but maybe this is similar to having kids, of just the stress of everything, of dealing with the production, but you get through it and then you sit down in a theater and you get to watch it with, all your friends and all the cast and crew. And then all of a sudden it's worth it,
I can't watch the film.
What's that?
I've never been able to watch any.
Oh, really?
I can't. I can't. Even in. I couldn't sit there.
In Cannes, sorry?
I couldn't do it.
Really?
Yeah, and I couldn't. Yeah.
Brutal.
I can't watch any of my films. I don't know. It's weird.
I cringe watching stuff. Like I've gone to like festivals, and then sometimes like. You get introduced and then you can't like slip away. So you're sort of forced to sit in the theater sometimes. I know what you mean, but like I kind of force myself to go through the experience just to, I don't know, maybe I'll learn something, maybe I won't. It is tough. I find shorts are easier because it's like a shorter burn. But yeah, I know what you mean. And we're back after a little bit of technical difficulties, but coming back into the conversation a bit. So you had 17 days of production, and do you want to talk about post-production? Like, were you editing while filming, or was this?
No,
God, you didn't have that type of time.
No. It was just like, I mean, as soon as we touched down, I got some sleep, and it was the editor. Yeah, no. I mean, God, I can't imagine like I'm having the film edited while we're shooting. What a luxury,
Right?
that's like yeah, it's like wait a minute, drugs and hookers? What? Yeah, God, that's a door that I would never open. That I never thought could be open for me.
Yeah, I've thought about like strategies. I'm like how it could be done on a low budget. Like, okay, if I have one guy as an assistant editor to at least just go through the footage, and then to catch stuff. But you have these like ideas, and then you try to put them into motion, and then everything falls off the rails. But do you want to talk?
Well, the weird thing about special effects when you have a lot of them is that you assume that they're going to work, so you do the editing first.
Yeah,
and then you put in the special effects afterwards. You're like, oh, okay, I fucked myself there.
Yeah, on screen right now, like she's in black, or everybody else is in a black and white, and she's kind of in color walking around, and it looks pretty flawless. I'm assuming this was just done with like extensive roto work.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It's just like painful, frame by frame, just roto work.
I made no friends in the special effects department. It was really only one guy, Gavin. He's probably not talking to me anymore.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'll probably have to call him in a separate line.
I had a bit of a background of some VFX, so I ended up doing a lot of like leg work on a lot of my stuff. So like I'm like, okay, give me the shitty roto stuff. Give me all the shitty tracking. I'll deal with all that, and somebody else can deal with kind of the more fun, creative stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of time. I know personally, just watching that scene gives me anxiety.
Especially 4K.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at a certain point, like I saw that and I'm like, oh, well, I can put that in a smaller file and just like up-res it after. But
Oh, okay.
That's when my brain's the wheels are already turning. I'm like, how did they do that? How would I do that?
Well, that's the one thing, because I have a background in music production. I can't like the movie Chicago. I'm watching this thing, and I can tell that they're using different compressors for one actress as opposed to another, and it's ruining it for me.
Really?
Because my ears are picking this stuff up. Yeah, yeah.
With Chicago, they captured everything on set, right? Like that's Les Miserables. Chicago. Right. Because I know on what was the other singing movie with John Travolta? Hairspray.
Okay.
They captured a lot of that on set, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah, and then they kind of...
Yeah, I guess you would have to in that one, yeah.
Yeah, which that boggles my mind how they do stuff like that, but it just seems like...
Did you enjoy Les Mis?
I actually haven't seen it, so I am uncultured, and...
How dare you, sir. You call yourself Canadian?
That's right. Les Mis is French, like France, though, right?
Yeah, it is. It's French. Yeah, I'm confusing the
Quebec version of that would be like Lego fuck yourself there, pal.
Yeah, starring George St. Pierre as
exactly. He was not impressed with the performance there.
I can listen to that all day. That's awesome.
That's funny. George, like anytime George fights, like up here, it's like people go nuts, right? Like bars are packed. It's like he's like Canadian royalty. But not a lot of love for Rory. Rory McDonald gets a bit of love, but like not as much as George.
Well, he's Bellator though, right?
Yeah, he went to Bellator, but George gets a lot of love, at least.
I mean, well, George had a crazy ass winning streak, but I mean, Rory, he had a bloody fight with what's his name that he accused of being on roids afterwards.
Gegard Mousasi?
No.
That was his most recent fight. I know what you're talking about.
Cut lip.
Yeah.
Lawler.
Yeah.
Oh, an epic fight.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. That was a crazy night too. That was the same night the Conor McGregor, Chad Mendes fight, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It always comes down to sports on this podcast.
I know.
Tangents.
When you have two penises, yeah,
it's just eventually it's going to come down to.
Right.
Let's get back to your movie a bit.
But see, that's the thing, though. When you're geeks, you don't talk about women. You talk about everything except for women when you're film geeks, right?
That's right. No, fair enough.
Comics, we talk about women like, oh yeah, it'd be nice to feel one now and then.
What was it like?
What was it like? nudge, wink, wink.
Exactly, Monty Python.
Okay.
Back to post-production.
Back to women. Okay, yeah.
Do you want to chat a bit about how long post took? And
too long.
I know you talked about like you raised around $50,000 for production, but
yeah.
Did you have post money going into post, or was that something? Okay, I have all this footage now, or
no? God, I could not imagine that. No, we definitely had the money, but because it was still such a micro budget film, we had one person do the editing and 1.5 persons doing the special effects.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And then did you have to ship off to like a mix house after that, or
we did a post house? Yeah.
With you having music background, did you try and take a stab at some of the mix or some of the sound effects?
I mean, of course they didn't want to, but then as soon as I got the deliverables, for some reason the deliverables were out of sync, so I had to go into my studio and alter each, and so for people who haven't done film, when it comes to sound, I don't know, for some reason these things it's like a feather, just to knock everything out of sync for some reason, especially if you're doing 5:1 mixes. There's just so many different speakers, so just one little editing mishap will knock everything out of sync.
One wrong XML file too, just
anything, right?
Yeah.
Any power surge, I don't know, blow on your screen, all of a sudden the sound gets out of sync. So yeah, I had to at some point the post house was like, everything here is out of sync, so I had to export it, import it into my music computer, and of course I obsessed about it for like 3 days without eating, just knocking everything back into. But it's one of those things again, like if that doesn't get you half chubbed, it's not for you, man.
It's true. It's true.
Because you said you had like a sort of like a godlike, not godlike complex, but but there's like control issues, right?
To an extent, like I will like relinquish control with like people that can do a better job than me in some scenarios, and then
but you watch all the dailies, right?
What's that?
You watch all the dailies, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so I heard a story today where a director wasn't watching all the dailies.
That's stupid.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, you fucked up.
I mean, like it's how do you not, even if, he was like, well, no, the editor does that, and he shoots it, and then the first time he sees his the scenes after he shoots it is in a rough cut.
Yeah, but does he run into problems though, like where, because you might not watch the dailies, but you have a memory of it. You're like, oh, where was that take? Like, I like that, whatever, that reaction to that other take. You might have it in your head about remembering it from set, maybe. I don't know.
I couldn't imagine. I mean, I couldn't imagine like shooting, like spending all this time and not looking through every little pixel of the footage that you shot.
Yeah,
I cannot imagine that.
I edit a lot too with like whatever, as like a day job type stuff. So just not watching everything. It's just, I don't know. It's a waste. Like,
it's insane, right?
Yeah. So sound, I might not listen to every single sound effect that we record, like wild sound, but
fair enough, yeah.
But it'll all be logged and kind of put in for if you need it, but
that's the thing about film, and I think that once you've directed a film, you are a complete project manager.
Yeah, right.
And no one is born a natural project manager.
No, that's very true.
Right? You have to go through the fucking fire. You have to go through the gauntlet. And then when you realize that everything that you don't inspect falls to shit, it changes you forever.
No, that's a very good point. And there's no school or... No. You have to do it. You just have to go do it.
Well, that's a scam. Again, I've got like, over 6 years of undergrad and graduate work in film, and none of it taught me how to direct a film. And I learned more directing one film than I did, all of schooling.
You probably learned more in those 17 days on production than you did.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
But it was great to learn writing. That was awesome. But for film production, direct a film, man. Direct it.
I'm just sort of curious because like my film school experience was more of like a trade college. It was more technical of like, here's how you plug in this light.
Oh, that's great.
So
that's great.
There was a lot of that. Like, here's how to properly set up a C-stand. Here's why you can't coil this cable this way, otherwise you'll blow up all the
that's
set.
Awesome.
So
That's awesome.
That's what a lot of my film school was.
It should be that way.
I'm curious to know though what goes on in like a writing class because I've read a few books and things like that. But what happens in a writing class?
So it's writers. It's writers. So everything, it's all subjective.
Okay.
One in a class, 1 + 1 does not equal 2. 1 + 1 equals, that's not funny. It's like it's everyone's opinion, and you're always like, wait, what? And everybody's just going off in their own little thing.
Okay.
So that's why it's so theoretical. But what you're describing, that is a real education. That's trade, man.
It was geared more of a trade college of if you want a job in the film industry, at least in Toronto, like how to, like get into a union, all stuff like that, which is...
Oh, that's so valuable.
It is valuable for
so
sure,
valuable.
But for me wanting to just like go and direct my own thing, it wasn't entirely that, but it was networking.
Okay.
You meet a lot of people that will work on your stuff. And
Right.
looking back, it was awesome. At the time, I was hoping for more. I don't know what I was hoping for, but
Right.
It all worked out in the end.
But that's the thing. Like there's that theory that if you don't spend 10,000 hours doing something, you're not going to be an expert,
Gladwell
right?
thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's true. There's no, and you know that as a musician as well, there's no shortcut in that. There's none whatsoever.
Yeah. There's no easy way to learn scales and to shred or do sweeps.
Yeah. You got to log in the hours, and that's the same thing for writing as well. There is no shortcut.
That's 100% true. You got to do the work, and that's what it comes down to. I was just more curious, like if they talk structure or like character developments, like proper. Like I've read a lot of Joseph Campbell breakdown stuff, and
Sure, the hero and stuff like that.
Yeah,
if anybody's trying to get into it, the down and dirty bolts is before you write a script, write an outline, maybe even 3 pages. Give me a beginning, a middle, and an end. Don't even if I had 8 months to write a script, 6 months of that would just be research.
Really?
Yeah, because nowadays everybody could smell bullshit a mile away.
That's fair.
If you're writing about an engineer and you're making up words, everybody knows you're full of shit. So you have to do your research, and once you do the research in any kind of story, I don't care if it's vampires or space exploration. Once you do the research, and I'm talking about deluge yourself with the research, that really shapes the story.
And now, did you do a lot of research like on paranormal things or?
A lot of incubus stuff. Yeah, there was a whole Russian town that said that they were raped overnight.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's actually how I got the actual concept. I believe there was an actress from Twilight who said, "Yeah, I've had consensual sex with a ghost."
Really?
It's not rape. I would rather stay home Friday night, Saturday night, and just fuck my friend.
Huh? That sounds like somebody needs to go take some medication. But
you'd think, right? And then when I did more research, there's a lot of other people who said, "Yeah, that's same with me."
Crazy. Do you think that's a phenomenon of like somebody says it and then other people are like, "Oh, that happened to me," or is it like what do they call that? Like isolated phenomenon of multiple people claiming the same thing without having talked to each other?
So I got I got 2 best features for this, and one of the best features was the New York Paranormal Film Festival, right?
Yeah.
So when you do Ghostfucker, all of a sudden you become this this soundboard of everybody coming up to you and telling the weirdest ass stories, right?
Oh man.
And you can't look at their face and go, "You're a fucking moron." Right. Get away from me. You can't do that. You're like, "Really? Yes. No, I've heard some really
Feign interest a bit.
Oh yeah, I'm pitching the movie first off. So yeah, it's you just kind of open yourself up and go, okay, I can't judge it. These are their real experiences, and also their real experiences are gonna give me more, better material for a story than I could ever come up with.
In a way, it's kind of a compliment if they're coming up to you with their story, because they obviously like the film enough that it struck a chord with them, that they sort of feel comfortable talking to you about it,
Sure, until they stab you in the eye.
Yeah.
Right? Then you're like, oh God, I should have listened to my instinct. But no one stabbed me in the eye. But yeah, you always have to open up yourself to people, because whether you believe it or not, I mean, some of the greatest stories come from, people who sound very paranoid.
Right. Yeah, I had a lady tell me that a crab taught her about Jesus one time. Yeah, it was like a pilot.
A crab?
Yeah, it was a pilot we made for. It was like a contest for CBC thing, and CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Center in Canada, and at the screening of this, it was like a competition, and this lady she was like rubbing her stomach, and then she was telling me this story about how this crab that bit her finger, and then Jesus healed it in front of her. The whole while she was like rubbing her belly, like very like protruded belly. She wasn't a big lady either. She just was sticking it out and just rubbing it out. I was like, why are you rubbing yourself? Like, what's wrong?
You banged her, didn't you?
No.
Come on, man.
She was 60
Just
years old, so
Just say no.
strange. It was a strange encounter, but
Right.
Anyways,
that would have stopped me.
I do want to chat you up a bit about you finished the film and you get all the posts done and everything like that. How did you go about getting distribution for this? And what have you been doing to market the film? Maybe we can talk about marketing after that, but you want to talk about distribution and I guess you went to AFM or...
Yeah. So after the film, was done, we made a trailer. I went to AFM, and for people out there who don't know, AFM is the American film market, and it's basically they rent out this huge Santa Monica hotel, and every room is either a producer or a company or whatever. And what I did is I actually bought a booth. It's $5,000.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you go in, and I only had one film, whereas I'm rooming with other people who have like a slate of films, right?
Wow.
And I spent $5,000, and what I did is with my iPad, I knocked on every door, and that's the thing where the pitch served me. It was basically, hey, nobody wanted to hear from me, nobody wanted to talk to me. They're like, look, we got a full slate. And I was like, look, I got a film. It's basically called Ghost Fucker. It stars William Sadler.
William Shatner would have been a whole different film.
William Shatner would be like, oh, we already have Ghost Fucker with William Shatner. We've got 5 of those. But William Sadler from Shawshank Redemption, give me 2 minutes of your time. And everybody that I approached let me in.
Really?
And every one of them.
And you didn't want to do like an independent route of trying to do a distributor thing, because for $5,000 you get it on,
Sure.
Most aggregation deals you can get it out there, but you wanted to go more traditional route or?
Yeah. So the thing with sales agents is that they could sell territories.
Yeah.
Distributor won't do that.
It's just U.S. based, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the VOD market, whereas sales agents and distributors, they'll sell Thailand or they'll sell Japan, or Singapore, that kind of stuff, Italy.
And have you had good experience with this, or because I've had everything of the good experience to the hey, you got a deal in Japan and you made $5,000, but the deal for Japan is going to cost $5,000.
What?
Yeah.
That's a real life experience.
That's 100% true story.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
horrors in distribution yet.
No, I mean it's all little piece by piece. I will say though, so when I went to AFM and I pitched it, I got I think over 20, like under 30 offers.
That's great, man.
The film. Yeah. So what I did is and you're like, how do you? Because they're promising the moon. right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be great, kid. Oh, you're gonna love us. Trust me. Oh, you're
Smoking
gonna
a
get laid.
cigar.
Oh yeah. Oh, the women are gonna love you. You know, that kind of stuff. So I'm like, well, there's no way for me to differentiate that. So what I did is that I went online, I made an Excel chart. I checked all of the films that they're distributing, and I contacted all the directors and the producers through Facebook.
Jesus, man, that's a lot of work.
A lot of work. And I asked them, hey, what was your experience with these distributors and sales agents? And I only got 4 favorable reviews.
Wow.
Out of 26.
That sounds about right. Actually.
Yeah. And they were just like, yeah, this guy's a scumbag. He'll rob you, blah, 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 blah. And four favorable, meaning like he's not a scumbag.
Right. Yeah.
And like 2 were like, yeah, well, he's pretty good. And that's the person that I went with.
Okay. And
I would suggest any filmmaker, before you sign any kind of contract, talk to someone else that they worked with through Facebook or through through Instagram.
Something, yeah, just get some feedback of some kind, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I find it's just like choosing the lesser of evils. I guess that's sort of what you just described, and it's a necessary thing you need. But I'm always trying to think of like, what's a better way to do distribution?
Oh, we all are.
You know, like for what we did with our film, we did a sales agent aggregation thing, and it got us some TV deals in Canada, and
it's awesome
and whatnot. But I'm always like thinking like, you know, what could be better? And then like for marketing for your film, did the distribution help you in marketing or planning any marketing, or was that solely
none whatsoever?
So it was all up to you.
It was all up to me. I mean, like, look, their way of marketing is we're going to go to film markets. We're going to go to Cannes. We're going to go to TIFF. We're going to go to Sundance. We're going to go to all these. You're basically funding their traveling.
Yeah.
That's all that you're doing. And I think the only reason why I'm getting the hits that I'm getting in Amazon Prime is that it's just I'm posting up racy trailers.
And that is helping. So are you doing specific trailers for specific markets? Are you doing targeted ads?
Yeah. Do
you want to talk a bit about that? Or
yeah, male from 13 to 40.
And then you'll do a trailer with a bit of sex in it, and then put that out for that genre. Are you doing like Will Sadler specific stuff, and then trying to target?
So for the trailers for Europe, Europe is more sex friendly, whereas the U.S., I guess North America, is more violence friendly.
So weird, right?
Yeah, I don't get it either. Yeah, I could go on my soapbox. Wait a minute, you're okay for someone cutting off someone's hand or cutting off their face, but if you see a titty, all of a sudden Jesus is gonna come down and whack your dick off.
He might.
White Jesus. He's a brutal motherfucker, right?
I went to Catholic school. I'm very familiar.
So did I.
Yeah,
so did I. Yeah. White Jesus. Yeah.
It's crazy, right? He's always ripped. He never looks like he comes from the Middle East.
Right. And like the worst thing you can do is masturbate.
Oh man, they told us we go blind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like literally go blind. And I was.
Well, I am wearing glasses.
What's that?
Well, I am wearing glasses. And it didn't start until I started masturbating.
In my head, I was like, shit, I guess I'm going blind.
Oh yeah, there's no. I mean, once you have any kind of remote experience, you're like, yeah, whatever. Every 10 babies die. You're like, yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's a circle of life.
Sorry, I am actually really curious about marketing. Going through it with myself, I could talk about religion all day, but especially for sex, if you have a sex-driven film like what we have, you're gonna have to market. I mean, like honestly saying you're gonna have to market it to males, right?
Because women are just, I don't know, for some reason they're just not. They don't gravitate towards that. So you market why. Actually, I seriously don't know why. To me, when I get the criticism, like, what's with all the sex and what? There's so much sex. Like, I would even get like, this is borderline porn, and the only thing that goes through my mind is, it's all pretend, right? There's no insertion. Like, there's no.
Have you gotten a criticism like that from people? Like
I mean, like, I didn't really think, and still looking at it now, I didn't really think it's that sex driven at all. But I've gotten definitely criticism of, like, this is borderline porn. This is, and I've had the one review of, like, look, like the starting line is, look, I like sex as much as the next person.
And that's always set up for, like, them to shit on you right after that, right?
Yeah, always. Like, look, I'm normal. I like sex, okay?
But
I'm not so true. But Jesus Christ, the ass fucking here.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually very surprised. I didn't anticipate the, like, really? We still have the sex hang-up thing. It's weird.
What's strange is, like, a lot of the horror movies, like, I love are stuff from, like, the 70s and 80s, and it was all tits.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah. Oh, it's great.
So maybe now audiences...
Natural tits.
Right, exactly. And like, now maybe audiences aren't as used to that. Like, horror is less of that, the scantily clad woman going... I don't know, maybe...
I don't know what's going on because porn is more prevalent, right? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's crazier than ever than it was.
Crazier than ever. Yeah,
like, it's insane what's out there.
Yeah, so it doesn't explain why, like, there would be more hang-ups now. It's nuts.
Yeah,
and you go to Europe and you can't see a bubblegum commercial without tits.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been, so I'll take your word for it. But
oh yeah.
I mean, in Canada, we always had the Blue Nuit, which was like the French channel, which would have, like, 10 o'clock. You could, like, if your antenna was pointed the right way in the country, you could catch some boobs here and there, but it would be staticky and whatnot. But yeah, that's.
I don't know how if women really know the power that they have over men. I mean, it's insane.
It's true.
We'll join cults. Oh yeah.
We shouldn't let them know.
They fucking know.
Yeah, a lot of them probably know.
Oh yeah.
Back to
when puberty kicks in.
Yeah, it's just game over, man.
Yeah.
So can you talk a bit about, like, the success? Like, can you see a back end of, okay, if we do this trailer more sex driven in Europe, can you see, like, within a couple weeks this has worked better than something else? Or are you changing tactics, or are you modifying stuff?
No, it definitely depends on the territories. Like, so I would choose, like, okay, even states as well. There are states that gravitate more towards sex than other states. Yeah. And that's where we would be, playing our promos for sure.
And are you doing Facebook ads, Twitter ads, Instagram ads? Are you doing?
Yeah. Not Twitter ads, but Facebook, Instagram. Jed, our friend, was suggesting doing magazine print ads, that kind of stuff.
That's interesting too. Yeah, I often wonder about, like, like they always say, like, traditional media is sort of dead, but
I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
I don't know either. Like I've been on TV a few times in smaller markets in Canada, and it's like, who's really watching at 6 a.m. of the morning show of that local news station? But then they give you that footage after, and then you can use that to market with, and then that looks like legitimate. So I'm always trying to think of, like, new ways to approach marketing and not how to trick people, but just how to just get it in front of people's eyeballs and convince them to take a chance on your movie. For sure. Because there's limited options on, like, it's your movie's on Prime, which, like, you can watch Man in the High Castle, or, take a chance on something, which it's hard to sometimes convince people. Yeah. I mean, it really depends on that concept. That's why that concept just circles back. I do want to point out there is a really great special effects with the makeup on your main actor there when he kind of turns into this rotting corpse. It looks great. I don't know who your makeup artist was, but she's the ex-wife of Marilyn Manson's guitarist. So yeah, that is I looked really great. Lady Chantal, she's awesome. She's a she's a sweetheart as well. That makeup looked great. that's something too, like on a lower budget movie. Like, I don't know if you want to talk a bit about makeup and practical effects, things you did there.
So it's a green suit, right? Like, because you're gonna have ghost fucking. It's like a lot of it was green suit, and just our special effects guy. I don't even know what the verbiage is, to be honest with you. He's just.
Just
what,
running around
compositing? I don't fucking.
Oh yeah, compositing.
Okay, all right. He basically told us what to do, and we did it. And we had to. I had to write out the sex scenes. Like, okay, oral first. She experiences cunnilingus. I shit you not. This is the notes that I gave the camera. Okay, so first we're going to start off with cunnilingus. All right. First is the stroke is going up, then it's going down, then it's up, it's going down, a little more up.
That's a comedy movie all in itself.
Do the alphabet A, B, C, right, with your tongue.
And it's a tutorial.
And then, of course, the feeling of the tits. You have to, again, it's so clinical. Nothing about it is sexy.
No, I imagine that's the case.
Oh, yeah. Just everyone just like, and it's always like the last thing to shoot at the end of the day. So you're just like, after this we get lunch, or after this we get to sleep. That's why. So when people are like, oh God, there's sex, how do you do it? I'm like, it's pretend.
Yeah,
it's pretend.
You treat it like I guess, would you treat it the same as like a fight scene, like it just blocking it and just treating it clinical in a way?
Fight scenes are more. I think fight scenes are more complicated because it's definitely more choreography, but editing wise, there's a lot more cuts in fight scenes, and you always have a risk of having your actors look like pussies because they don't know how to fight. Right,
that's a big thing. And with you with a martial arts background, that's
good pussy. What is that? No, but it's. I mean, that's a risk for fight scenes. Whereas sex, everybody looks like they know what they're doing.
At least, yeah, they hope. You hope they do.
Yeah, right. You're like, you're a virgin in this. Okay, right. Well, women like a little foreplay right before.
As you found out with your writing.
Yeah, that's right.
Real quick, I got credits rolling on my end. I just want to maybe let you tell people where they can find your movie and, where they can find you on social media and follow you or follow the film and check the film out.
Sure. I mean, on Facebook, it's Deadly Crush. It's in Amazon Prime right now. I believe it's going to go on Family Video as well. Do you have Family Video in Canada?
No, we don't. What, is that like a rental or is that like more of a VOD thing?
I think it started out as a Blockbuster, like a bricks and mortar kind of shop, and then they went to online ordering and stuff. But
no, nothing like that.
Yeah, but Amazon's going to also have it in Blu-ray as well, Blu-ray and DVD.
Very cool. And if they get it on Blu-ray, DVD, they get a bunch of special features like you were talking about, eh?
Yeah, behind the scenes, and what else do they? Oh, commentary. The producer and I just got drunk,
nice.
and we just rail on each other the entire. I don't remember the commentary. I'm a lightweight, so I mean, once I got like that third shot of Maker's Mark, I'm like, oh God, you're a bitch. One of those things.
We tried to do a drinking commentary with our film, and it, we ordered a pizza halfway through, and then it showed up.
Great.
And we didn't end up putting on the DVD. It just
really,
it went downhill. It went bad real quick. There were a lot of incriminating things on that commentary.
I've written when I was stone ass drunk one time, and I banged out 24 pages in one night. And I was like, oh man, this is really awesome. And the next morning when I read it, I'm like, this is utter fucking shit.
Yeah, I can't do it drunk. It's like
I can't do it either.
Coffee. Maybe if I have one drink, then I can do it. But no, nothing's good coming out when I'm drinking.
I mean, for writing, I mean, like I would say drink, go out, and then a couple weeks later write about that.
Yeah.
Then that it totally helps.
I've had like good spitball sessions though of fleshing stuff out like with a few people over drinks, but
really?
Like planning out a plot line and everything. As long as you can write down the point form notes of what that was, then you can flesh it out sober. I've had good luck with that. But other than that, no, not much else.
Even in music for me, like everything just worked so much better sober for me.
And that's a good note to stay sober, kids.
Fuck all you want, but just stay sober.
But stay sober. So, Dakota, I really enjoyed our chat, and I really enjoyed having you on the podcast. And if you make something again, or you want to come on, talk about a short you made or your previous film, we can do that sometime. Would love to have you back on the podcast, talk more
awesome
music and film. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at Lost Commentary, on Instagram at Raiders of the Lost Commentary, and like us on Facebook.
I'll be back.